we go. Start recording. That's the important thing to do at the beginning of a stream is start fucking recording. All right. Now, I've been doing a lot of messing around over the course of the week. Just kind of resetting my desktop environment, moving things around, like the outboard control pad for my tablet. I moved that to the other side of my mouse, so now they're in different relative locations. And I moved my keyboard a little bit. And one of the things that I'm trying to do is I'm trying to relocate everything so I can get my DJ console available on a more regular basis, because I have not been spending enough time working on the music for my various games. I need to start thinking about that, because as the great and mighty Todd Howard has frequently said, the real key to getting the right feel for your game is to have the right music. You get the music first, and then that kind of sets the tone for what you're going to do in the game. And that's kind of smart, so I like that. I'm going to go along with that and try to... I mean, I have an idea of what the music sounds like, so I kind of sort of have it running in my head anyway, even though the music isn't actually recorded yet. I sort of have this notion of what it's going to sound like and how it's going to work. But anyway, I've moved stuff around, and one of the things that I've done is I used to have my tablet substantially closer to me, and because it was closer to me, I could do a lot of my drawing with my elbow on the table, and that's not good. So what you want is those kind of wide circling motions with the shoulder. So I've moved the tablet far enough back on the desk that I can't reach it with my elbow on the table. I would have to lean forward substantially more, and I've kind of stuck obstacles in the way to make me reach out and do everything at a distance. So in any case, one of the things I did over the course of the past week, obviously, was kind of sort of work on the lamppost picture, but I'm starting to rethink some stuff about it, and I'm going to go over that in a minute. But we kind of reblocked the whole image, and in that reblocking, I did a bunch of stuff. I did a bunch of kind of practice stuff around the idea of what I wanted things to look like how do I want these sort of balloon sleeves to work, and how to draw those balloon sleeves, and how the wrinkles and drapery on them look, and the type of lace pattern. And this was an experiment in drawing a face with the lasso fill tool, which I want to use more. And this was kind of a thought about how to do the collar, which I did more work on up here. And I really kind of dove in and got, if you zoom in, you can see I actually did like all of the stitching around the edges of the collar, and here's kind of the lace around it. But it's a fairly simple kind of lace, and you can see I thought about it here and whether I was going to do a more pointed lace. And I did a whole bunch of just like ruffles and cuffs and just like basic ideas. I worked on the concept of this drapery along the side here. I did some experimenting with how to use the blending tool on the sleeves, and how to I made some efforts at how to make satin look like satin. I did not do very well on that. And here are some more lace pattern experiments, some more balloon sleeve experiments. And all of this is just stuff that I kind of messed around with and thought about. And then having done that, I sort of jumped in and said, okay, let's get more detailed on how the dress is constructed and how the dress is supposed to look. And as I was kind of drawing out the dress over here, I went, all right, the proportions are kind of off on this. I need to work on that. And I also need to work on exactly where all of these things are going to fall. Like this this corset or bustier that she's wearing. I don't think I want it to come that far up. Like, do I really want it to come up right under the breasts there? Or do I want it to be just like more of a midriff thing? And if it's going to be more of a midriff thing, you know, like where exactly does it fall in here? And when we've got this kind of, here's a bow and here's this soft shirring and all of these little tiny buttons here, I don't know exactly what design I'm going to put on this. I'm thinking in terms of large buttons on the sides. I'm thinking in terms of maybe some lacing down the middle. I've been considering that. I definitely want this ruffle here to happen at an angle. So I want that at an angle, and I want that one straight, and I want that one straight. But I want this kind of triangle top, triangle middle going on there. So we just get this kind of suggestion. And I'm not sure whether I want that to go this way or the way that I've got it going. I'm not sure whether I want it to, I'm not sure which sort of path I want it to follow. It could follow either path. And I'm not sure which one I want. Because depending on how I do that, that's really going to alter the way this pose looks. Because if you look here, what I've been thinking in terms of is that it's coming from high up on this hip to low down on this hip. But if I do the opposite, then it's going to do this interesting thing where it swoops up to the knee. And I've been thinking about that in terms of, is that going to look like I did it on purpose, or is it going to look like I fucked up? And you can see here I'm thinking about the drapery of the skirt as a whole. And you can also see that in this drapery, we have that kind of downward slant from this side to that side. So do I want to have the contrast of one ruffle coming across that way and then the other two coming across this way? Or do I want to keep it, one ruffle comes across this way in an exaggerated fashion, the other two come across this way? And if I do it that way, you know, does either of those look like I screwed up? Because it's often hard to tell whether something was intentional when you're looking at a painting or a drawing. And you don't know whether this is, if I draw, here's her leg up here, and here's her other leg over here. And if I draw this ruffle here, you know, did I mess up because the space here is much smaller than the space here? Or is that what I meant to do? Did I intend to do that? Or is that a failure? And you could look at these two bits right here. You can go, okay, well, those two match. So apparently that's what it's supposed to be. But is this being drawn too far up? Is there just not enough material coming down this leg? Is that the issue? And that's one of those things where you don't want to paint or draw something that looks like you fucked up. But at the same time, if you paint something where you're doing something on purpose, if somebody thinks you were doing something else, they're going to think you fucked up. Like if you go, okay, the ruffles on this dress, two of them are straight and one of them is diagonal. If you make one of them diagonal and they think all three of them are supposed to be straight, then whenever you do something where it's ambiguous, whether it's supposed to be diagonal or straight, they're going to go, ha, you fucked up, that's supposed to be straight. And I'm not really sure which way that reads best. But another part of that is it's an artifact of a particular level of technical skill. Because if you're sufficiently skillful in your application of the drawing or the painting, people will assume you got it right. Whereas if you're just kind of hanging on for dear life and hoping you don't fuck stuff up, you do fuck stuff up. I mean, comparatively, you're only drawing stuff that's just like barely within your realm of ability. So clearly, if something looks fucked up, it's because you fucked up, and not because you know what you're doing and the viewer is the one who needs to reconsider. And that's a tough thing to wrestle with. But what I've done is I've taken the original drawing of Chiyo. I've put her over here, and this way I can kind of think more specifically about how I want this to look. Like if I wanted her in this pose, and there are some things that I still need to fix on this. Like if you look at the height of this character, okay? If you look at the height and you look at where each of these guidelines is, and you go, okay, well, if I go exactly between those two guidelines, that should be the middle of the body. That should be the bottom of the crotch. And that's about where it is. But when you start looking at other proportional guidelines, they're not necessarily going to end up where they should go. Also, is that really where I want it to be? Let's zoom in somewhat. Now, if I scroll up here and I go, where is this guideline? Down here at her feet. That is at about, it's a little bit below 2360. It's about 2366. And if we come up here, it is at 1340. So that is, it's actually 1338. So we go from 1338 to 2366. That is 1028. And if we come down from 1000 from here, if we come down by 1028, then we're talking about 292. So are we at 292 up here or fairly close to it? No, we're not even close. Is it 292? Or is it 192? No, what we actually have here is 148. So if we go from 148 down to 1328, that's 1180. Yeah, so this should actually be, I switch over to my object here. If I grab this, in 48, this should actually come down about another 100. We take that down to 1448, and then we zap outward. Well, that's not even remotely right. Okay, so let's grab that. Try to get up to about where it will. Where have we got that? That is, okay, 1280, 2240. About 960. Yeah. So this should actually come up about 50. Come up to about there. That's about right. So her legs aren't long enough. That's one thing. And yeah. So we go from 160 down to 1120. Let's go from 160 down to 1200. That's 1040. $2,080, 2240. That would be about there. So we're going to pull this down about half of that. It's about like so. That's about right. It's about right there is about where the bottom of her crotch ought to be. So that's actually not bad. It's almost exactly where it needs to be. So it's not so much the proportions on this that need to be fixed. The proportions on this are okay. I mean, we can even go, if we go halfway between these, to be right about there, that's her knees. That's exactly where things need to be. So the proportions on this are really not bad at all. Why do they feel like they're bad? Why does this feel like she should have more leg than she has? Let's where is my liquify? We got eraser, we got blend, blur, fingertip, we got blend, we got liquify. How about up here? We got our brushes, we got our airbrush, our fill. Yeah. Where's my... That's a layer palette over here, and this is zoom. This is selection. Okay, so it's under selection that I have my rulers. Okay, I knew it was in there somewhere. I'm still getting used to this thing. Okay, so if we come down here and we go figure ruler, and we go circle, and we go start from center, we're gonna go, all right, here's a circle, and we're gonna do that down to her fingertips. There's the wrist right there, and then we do the fingertips. They're gonna go about there. So that's about right. That's about where the fingertips go, and then we go same basic concept. Take this out here, and we see where the fingertips end up. Actually, let's do this the way it really ought to work, which is you start with a more or less straight finger, like so. And you go, there's a straight finger. Okay, so that comes out to there, and that is the extent of the wrist to the tip of the finger. Okay, so there's the extent of the wrist to the tip of the finger. And now you come back here, okay? And come back here to the point of the elbow. And that is your forearm there. That's the rotation of the forearm. And then you come up here to the shoulder, here. You pull that all the way down, and that gives you precisely where the fingertips fall on the leg. And that's about the right place. That's about the right place for them to fall. So that's about right. Huh. So what makes this feel... Why do I feel like the proportions on this are off when measuring them looks like they're just fine? I don't know. I've got no clue. Oh, wait. It's the heels. It's the heels. if we pull that and we go, okay, here's the ankle, here's size of the foot right there. And we go, all right, here's the here's the bottom of the heel right there. So if that's the bottom of the heel, then the legs are too short. The legs are substantially too short because I've got the bottom of the crotch right about here, and that's only off a little bit if the bottom of the foot is there, but that's off substantially if the foot's up there. So we can fix this by, okay, let's go back to there and we'll go, okay. We're going to take our marquee tool. We're going to do a rectangle. And we're going to go, okay, from here on down, like so. I just want to transform this. Hold on. I want to transform these, and I want to pull that down. Just down. Don't want to get it off to the side. And we'll go okay on that. And let's see how that looks. That is an improvement. That is a substantial improvement. Let's now remove that, and we'll come over here and we'll move layer. And we'll shift. Okay, that's not working. We need to also select the palette copy right there. And now we can just move it wherever we want. Let's move it up a little bit more. That works. And now we zoom in. Not quite that far. And let's once again marquee. That space right there. Transform, and we'll pull this down a bit more. That's probably all right. Let's back that up, deselect, whack OK, deselect. That's a better look. Of course, now the now we have a minor issue with the knees being in the wrong place, because here's our hips, here's our ankles, and our knees are too far down. So what we got to do is pull those out of there. We've got our rectangle tool already selected, so let's Grab this space. We'll select those. And then we'll zoom in a bit. I'll bring these up somewhat. So the knees are about where I want them. And we'll go OK. And then we'll select under the knees. And we'll pull those back down. In fact, we'll pull those down substantially. And then we will deselect and grab these feet. And we'll drag these up so they look less distorted. Whack OK. I'll back off of that. Deselect. And that's a better look. So now if we go, all right, here's our hips right here, and here's our ankles right here, and here's our knees right here, that is about right. Okay. That is a kind of thing that I tend to do to fix stuff when it is not looking right, is just kind of muck around with it a little bit here, a little bit there. You can obviously, that's one of the things you can do with Liquify. Like you can just push stuff around. You can grab the area that you want to move, and you can go, okay, let's can't do that with vector layers. So what we'd have to do is let's take this line art. We'll duplicate that layer, because I don't anticipate. We'll rasterize that. And now we can Control Shift and grab the space, and now our Liquify should work on everything. And your Liquify can be used to push stuff around all over the place. And make it look like absolute garbage. Well, you can use that to push stuff in. But I frequently don't like the way that looks. So that's how you would use Liquify for it. I'm not going to use Liquify for it. I'm going to keep my vector line art. But anyway, come over here and go back to my move layer. Control Shift. Grab all of that and drag it down a bit. Bring it down to the edge of the paper, and then we'll Control T, scroll out, and expand her out somewhat to fill the paper more completely. There we go. Okay, so what I want to do here is I want to kind of take I want to kind of take all of that, and I want to go Control C, Control V, and that's going to give me a new copy of all of this. And I want to take that selection there, and we're again on Move Layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold Shift, and I'm just going to drag. I'm going to drag that across over here. And now what I've got is I've got a copy. Ooh. So now I've got a copy, and I'm going to take that copy, and I'm going to start working with the question of, here's the dress that I want to do. So let's begin by selecting all of this. And we'll, geez. And somehow missed that R. And we'll copy. And then we will come over here and we will paste. And we're going to take that pasted line art there and we're going to transform it so that we can begin by moving it into position. And then we're going to resize it a bit so that we can actually see all of the notes. And work with them. We're going to move that around over here. That needs to be a bit smaller. Make that a bit smaller right there. And then we'll figure out where we can put this. That's going to be a good spot. Yeah, I think this is fairly good right here. Maybe a little smaller. And we'll shuffle it over so it's out of the way of our it's out of the way on that. And now we'll come over to our eraser. We got our vector eraser here. Let's go ahead and erase those little artifacts there. And yeah, there we go. And this will be dress notes. Dress notes. Now, I should come down here. Why is it? Oh yeah, it's killing the shading when I've got it up there. Okay, so first of all, we want to put all of this into its own folder here. And I'm going to go new layer folder. Oh no. I'm going to take all of this and we want to create a folder and insert layer. I'm going to name that folder Rework. And then we want to take all of these and we want to put them into their own folder. We're going to create folder and insert layer. I'm going to call that Chiyo. And I think I made a typo there. There we go. And now I will close that and I will close that. And this will be my dress notes. And let's close that raster bit right there. And we'll close this vector bit right here. And let's go. let's just rename comparison so it's something else. You know what? No, that's fine. We'll just leave that stuff right there. Okay. So as we are reworking Chiyo, we want to come over here to the rework line art. And we want to go, all right. So she's going to have this kind of puffed sleeve. All right. We want to be using a brush and not the... God. Okay, so we want to be using a brush and not the eraser. And let's kind of rough this in here. It's going to be sort of poofy, and then it's going to come in, and we're going to have the that'll come in like that. Then here we're going to have a ruffle. And that ruffle is going to be kind of bit right there. Now we want our eraser, and we want to erase that vector and that vector. So we're just going to kind of move the just going to sort of move this in. Now let's come down to our color copy, and we'll just erase there. And erase this space here, including the area outside. And having done that, now we get to be fun. Because I've where's my add subtool, cancel. Where's add from default? Add from default, there we go. And we want down under figure, we want lasso fill, add. Okay, that's the one right there. Lasso fill is amazing. I have like just discovered this tool, so we're gonna grab that color and we're gonna scroll down in, and I'm just gonna go draw, draw, draw. This is the area that I want filled, and kaboom, there it is. Let's take our palette layer, and we will shift it up just a bit. Let's see, now that's in the way. So I'm actually going to do is I'm going to move this up here, and then I'm going to take my rectangle select tool. I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to transform, move it over here, and we're going to have that right there. Okay, so there's our reworked palette layer. We'll move layer a little bit and get it off to the side there. So there's our sort of balloon sleeve. Now I need to go into my shading copy, and I need to remove all of this shading that we had in there, because we're going to want to do new shading. And that new shading is going to be driven by a kind of this will be driven by this kind of okay, so it's got this kind of balloon look to it, and there's much more of a balloon look down here toward the bottom. That looks a little bit too symmetrical. Okay, so that's about right. Now what we want to do now is we want to come in here to our shading, and we're going to take this color here. We're going to come in here and we're going to shade just right there. There's going to be a shadow inside of that. Let's clean that up. I'm going to shade the inside of that. Actually, when we shade the inside of that, it's going to be substantially softer. Okay, so we're going to make that much smaller, and we're going to shade that in, and we're going to shade that in. And in order to make this look more like in order to make this look more like a kind of satin color, what we want to do is here in the highlight, we want to use a hard line brush, and we want to use something very, very light. We want a little bit of pink in there, not a whole lot. It's like maybe like that, and then we'll just kind of trim this little bit right here. And we'll rim like that little bit, that little bit. And then we'll do a kind of not quite that hard. Then we'll take that highlight and change it from the normal blending mode to the add blending mode. Let's put it on add, not add glow, but just add. And let's back up and have a look at that. Highlight in the middle is a little bit too bright. So let's come in here and let's take our Let's take our blend there and we'll there's a bit much. We'll kind of blend that a little there, and then we'll use the let's use a fairly small fingertip blur to sort of, and that's a very soft fingertip blur, so let's sharpen it a bit. Right there. Now let's see what we got. And still a little stark. Not sure I like it. Definitely something I want to work more on. Maybe I'm just going the wrong direction. What if, let's delete all of the highlights and we'll grab that. We'll go fairly light and we'll come over here to a brush. Here we go, line, and we're on the highlight layer. How does that look? It looks pretty good. Switch over to a soft airbrush and let's see how that looks. And here in this, yeah, that's a much better look. Using a kind of soft airbrush, we'll kind of highlight that there. And this is going to kind of swoop over like that. And then we'll come over to our shading copy and we'll just kind of softly shade in here. Okay, yeah. And if we back up from that, how does that look? Substantially better. I'm liking that a lot better than I was. I'm still not 100% happy with it, but we are getting somewhere much closer to where I'm looking to be. Here's our lasso fill again, and this time we're going to come over here to a white color. Actually, we're going to come over here to this pink right here. And that was the wrong layer. We want this to be on our color layer, so let's grab that over there. And we'll scroll in and we'll jump into our shading and we'll brush. Pull the shading out of there. Back to our color copy, we'll clean up this space here, we'll clean up this space here, and yeah, I'm going to take this shading copy here and I'm going to erase the shading on that. Erase the shading in there and in here, and then I want to take this and we want to shade up underneath like so. Then we'll jump back into our color and clean up a little bit around. Okay, grab that. Clean up right around here. And clean up here. There's our shading copy. We want to go transparent. Clean that up. Clean that up. And we're here on color copy. I'm going to clean that up. I think this is where we need our vector eraser to go blip. Wrong layer. Line art. Blip, blip. Blip. There we go. All right, now I got this little artifact here. I want to see where that's going on from. So it's in the shading. Let's go shading copy. And it's not in there. Go line art copy. There we are. It was in the line art. Now I go back to our brush. Back to black brush. Clean that up, clean that up. Clean that up a bit. And back up from that, and we are getting something approximating the look that I want for the upper left shoulder. Okay, so not 100% happy with this satin look. I want to do something with that, but in here on the line art, we want to have, this is her arm. So here's the outline of her arm. Like so. And here's the forearm. So this is about how that arm is going to look. That is wrong. This arm has to come up here. That's going to come up there. Okay, so that's about where that ends up going, and that's about where that ends up going. Pull that, now I back up from that, and it does not look right. Okay, so this arm, back to the brush. this arm was already entirely in the wrong place. And for the elbow, the arm comes down here. The elbow sitting more in that location. Elbow needs to come in just under the rib cage. And it's lifting up to about here. So we're going to come down here. There's the elbow. And the elbow there. The arm has to end up right about here. Does that look about right? Doesn't look bad. I'm not happy with it. It's there's clearly some work that needs to be done there. What's our time sitting at? Oh, 56 minutes. Yeah, so that's kind of where things are sitting right now. Obviously, do the little YouTube dance, like, comment, subscribe, hit the little notify button, all that happy horse shit. I'm going to go through and rework this and kind of redo and just add in all of the new elements of the outfit. I've got the pose already established, but just thinking in terms of how the outfit is constructed. That's going to make a difference. I also want to think about colors. I want to think about design. I don't know if I like this kind of single sheet of cloth draped along the outside of the arm. I'm not sure how pleased I am with that as a design characteristic. But anyway, that's kind of that's where things are sitting. Let me go ahead and save this. Chiyo _ rework. And we'll save that. Okay, so yeah, that's where things are sitting. I got a lot of stuff to rework on this. I got a lot of stuff to redo on this particular character design before I can really start putting things into this final work here. And that kind of working through all of the issues and working through all of the changes is something that I'm not used to doing on a piece like this. I'm not used to going back and editing my stuff or working in layers or just all kinds of stuff that's just taken for granted. And the way things are done in digital art, and I don't know how to do this stuff. I've never really done it, so I'm just kind of messing with that and trying to get it figured out, and that's where things are. So yeah, okay, bye.